Hello everyone and welcome back to the Sand & Castles Travel Show. I'm Ryan, the founder of Sand & Castles Travel Co. And today we are going to be talking about one of my favorite topics, which is Disney. And we are going to settle the ultimate debate on which is better, Disneyland or Disney World. And we'll talk about the differences between each park, the pros and cons of each park, and which is best for you and which you should choose for your next visit. So we'll start by just giving a little background and basics on each of the parks. And the first one I'm going to start with is Disneyland, because this was the first one to open. Disneyland is celebrating its 70th year this year, and so the park opened in Anaheim in 1955. Now, Walt originally got the idea for this park. He was trying to figure out a place where kids and parents and just families could spend time together and enjoy time together, all doing the same activity. And thus, the idea for Disneyland was born. And he picked Anaheim in Southern California because the weather is very moderate. It doesn't get too hot, doesn't get too cold. Just really a great place that it can be open year-round. So this was Walt's baby. He worked on this start to finish, oversaw the entire project. And little background, little history on the park. It did have 4 lands to start off with, and the original lands were Frontierland, Adventureland, Fantasyland, and Tomorrowland. And if you've ever been to Disneyland, you know that these still exist. They have expanded and changed over the years, but that was always the idea. Disneyland should never be completed, should never be finished, but always evolving, always changing. And really Walt's big thing was, if you can imagine it, it can happen, and never stop adapting and changing and growing. Now, Disneyland didn't go exactly how Walt had planned. He really wanted it to be an escape from reality. And soon after the park was opened, resorts, hotels, everything started popping up around Disneyland, and it became kind of commercialized in a way that he didn't really like, didn't really want, and didn't feel like as much of an escape as he was hoping for. So he decided that he was going to open another park, and this time it was going to be on the East Coast in Florida. And so they basically purchased a bunch of swamp land in the middle of Florida and began building even more of what Walt imagined. Now, sadly, he did pass away before the completion of this park, but this became what we know as Walt Disney World. And really, it was supposed to be bigger, better, just everything that Walt could want for this resort for families to go and enjoy together. It did open in 1971, and again was just built to expand Walt's dream. Now there are some major differences. I've laid out kind of the history of the background of each park, why each came to be. Now they do have some pretty major differences. So again, I'll start with Disneyland first. Disneyland originally opened with just one park, and that was Disneyland. And then later on, a second park was opened, a second part of the resort, Disney's California Adventure Park. So Disneyland has those 2 parks. They are right next to each other. You can see one from the other. You can literally walk right across and be in the other one. So it's very walkable, and Disneyland is, I wouldn't say small, but smaller than Walt Disney World. Now, Walt Disney World's it's a whole different story. There are 4 parks. There's Magic Kingdom, which is modeled after Disneyland. But this is where you see the Princess Castle, have Fantasyland, Frontierland, all of that. There is Disney's Hollywood Studios, which is pretty similar, I would say, to California Adventure Park. There is Epcot, which is really just science, technology. This is really the futuristic ideas that Walt was into. And the 4th park is Animal Kingdom. There are also 2 water parks. There are 20 plus resorts and hotels themed and owned by Disney. Now, with these 4 parks, they are not right next to each other. They are driving distance away. You absolutely cannot walk from one park to the other. They are acres and acres and acres and acres and acres. Now, what's really cool about Disney World is, unlike Anaheim, where everything was kind of built around Disneyland and the outside world is very much accessible from Disneyland, Disney World is completely cut off. Specifically, Magic Kingdom, one thing that I think is super cool is it's literally on an island in the middle of a swamp in Orlando, Florida. And the only way to get to Magic Kingdom is you have to ride a train or take a ferry. That's it. You cannot drive up to it. You cannot walk to it. It is on an island. And this really captured Walt's idea of having this just be completely separate from the outside world. So you have to take a train or a ferry to get to Magic Kingdom, and all the other parks are very spread out. So you have to drive from one park to the other. You can't just walk right across the street like you can in Disneyland. And I think there's some pros and cons to that. The park is very spread out, so there's plenty of room. It feels a little less crowded than Disneyland, but it's not as easy to park hop as it is at Disneyland. I want to talk about some Disneyland highlights and the pros of Disneyland. You are literally walking in Walt's footsteps. There's a little apartment office space on Main Street, USA, as you first walk into the Disneyland park that Walt would use as his personal office. He would stay there. And there's some history there to commemorate him. You're getting Walt's vision entirely. This is his baby start to finish. It is a lot more compact and easy to navigate. You can get to the 2 separate parks just walking back and forth, so it's easy to bop back and forth throughout the day if you have park hopper tickets. It's seamless. They're right across from each other. Again, you can see one park while you're in the other. It's really cool too because the seasonal events at Disneyland and the food culture is really strong. California Adventure specifically has lots of different food and wine events. The holidays at Disneyland are just amazing. Christmas time is so much fun. Halloween, they go all decked out and theme the rides. So it's a really amazing atmosphere at Disneyland. Now, maybe some of the cons. It's a smaller size. Again, it's only 2 parks, a little more compact, and there are fewer rides compared to Walt Disney World. And the crowds can feel tighter just because it's such a compact layout. So there have been times when I've gone when it's busy where you literally are shoulder to shoulder with people and you kind of just feel like standing room only, hard to get around. You're weaving in and out of the crowds trying to get where you're going. But again, there are a lot of pros to Disneyland. Now, I want to talk about Disney World and its pros and cons, its highlights. So this really is an immersive trip. You could stay on Disney property and really immerse yourself in the Disney theme and not leave that little Disney bubble. They have, again, 20 plus resorts in Orlando that are specifically owned by Disney, whereas in Anaheim there are 2 Disney hotels, but there's not as many options for people to go and stay as there are in Florida. There are 4 unique parks. They're all very different from each other. They have water parks, resorts, they have the ESPN Sports World, just lots of extras. This is definitely a multi-day trip option. Disneyland, you're probably going to want more than 1 day there, but you could get away with just 1 day at Disneyland. No way you could do that for Disney World. My recommendation is 1 day per park at minimum. So you're looking at 4 days minimum if you're just doing the parks. Again, there are so many themed hotels and experiences. You have the monorail that takes you all over Disney World. You have the Skyliner. You have deluxe resorts. So the Skyliner will take you from your hotel. If you are staying at the right hotel, it'll take you from your hotel directly to one of the parks. There are big ticket attractions spread across the different parks. So like you have Guardians at Epcot, you have Pandora and Animal Kingdom, you have Tower of Terror at Hollywood Studios, and then of course Magic Kingdom is just the classic Disney feel. One really cool thing about Disney World compared to Disneyland too is the castle is much bigger at Disney World than it is Disneyland. Disneyland uses some different perspective tools to make the castle seem bigger than it really is, whereas in Florida they were really able to go all out and it is a massive full-size castle. Now some of the cons of Disney World is it can feel really intense and require a lot of planning. There's a lot more reservations that need to be made. Transportation's a little trickier, whereas Disneyland, you could stay at a nearby hotel and just walk to the park. Not available, not really an option at Disney World. And it can be really overwhelming because the park is so big, it's so spread out, it's just acres upon acres upon acres. And it is exhausting. I once did Disney World. We did one park per day, all 4 parks, and we did it back to back to back to back. So 4 straight days in a row of Disney World. And it was a blast. It was so much fun. And we were there from rope drop, so open to close. So we're looking at, 15, 16-hour days in the park, 4 days in a row. When I tell you my feet hurt so bad, my body was so sore. So it can be very intense. It's a lot more physical than Disneyland is. And it is more expensive. It is a bigger time commitment to go to Disney World compared to Disneyland. Now, who should choose which? Disneyland is really good for short trips, 2 to 3 days. Like I said, you could even get away with 1 day at Disneyland. That will fill really quick, but 2 to 3 days, absolutely. I've done tons of just quick 2-day trips to Disneyland. If you are on the West Coast, it's a really great option for you to stop by Disneyland. And if you really love the nostalgia and love Disney history, Disneyland is a great option for you. Disney World is really great for like a full family vacation, looking 5 to 7 days. If you're a first timer that you want everything, Disney World is also a great option. If you want an immersive resort experience and really never want to leave that Disney bubble, Disney World is great. They have it all. But really, you want to make sure that you have the time that you're able to spend at Disney World compared to Disneyland. Like I said, 4 days minimum is my recommendation. You don't have to, and if you're not interested in going to all of the parks, that's totally fine. Park hopper is not as easy at Disney World. I don't usually recommend park hopper either for Disney World. Now I've been to both parks. I've been to Disneyland and Disney World. Now, being based in Utah, obviously I'm closer to the West Coast, so I have been to Disneyland more than I've been to Disney World. But both parks are great. Both parks have different experiences at each. One unique thing about Disneyland that I think is really fun is at California Adventure, they have the Cars Land and that Cars themed area and the attractions. And it's so amazing. It's so much fun. Disney World doesn't have that. They don't have that themed Cars Land like Disneyland does. Disneyland is just really fun. My husband and I will go, over a 3-day holiday weekend. We'll spend 1 day at each park, 1 day at Disneyland, 1 day at California Adventure, and then go home. And it's just this quick little weekend getaway that we're able to go and really enjoy the food and the rides and the fun and just the environment that Disneyland has to offer. Disney World, that was such a fun experience. Like I said, that time we went just back to back to back to back. It was a lot, and I was totally unprepared for the Florida weather. Disney World is so much different than Disneyland in that comparison when it comes to the weather. I went to Disney World in August. It was very humid. I'm not used to the humidity because Utah is very dry, but it was so humid. And so that humidity just makes it feel a lot hotter than it is. And I just was wet and felt soaked the whole time. But also, the summertime is the wet season in Florida. So expect it to rain literally every single day. And it's not going to rain all day. It's just going to pick a time, 10, 15 minutes, that it will be an absolute downpour. Totally unprepared for that. I thought I was prepared for that. So we brought ponchos, we brought an umbrella. You know, we were like, if it rains, we're going to go find a spot to sit and just really take our time and wait it out, because the rain will stop and then you're able to keep going. But it was day 2 of our trip. We were in Epcot, and Epcot has like around the world experiences too. So there's different countries to explore. So Mexico, Canada, France, Norway. And that's at the very, very back of Epcot. And we were in Norway. We had just gone on the Frozen ride, and we came out and it was just absolutely downpouring. And it was towards the end of the day, and we were pretty tired because we'd gone a full day at Magic Kingdom, now a full day at Epcot. It's just downpouring. It is just raining. And so my husband and I break out our ponchos and we cover ourselves in our ponchos. And we had tennis shoes on and we had an umbrella, and we decided we wanted to go home. We were like, you know what, we're good for the day. We've spent enough time in Epcot. And so we had to walk probably a mile from the back of the park to the front of the park. When I tell you there were 2 inches of rain on the ground, I'm not exaggerating. It went up to my ankles, covered my shoes. My shoes and socks were wet, and just that squish every time you take a step. And oh, it was so miserable. And we get to the car and we're just soaked. And by the time we got to the car, the rain stopped. Now, why we didn't just wait it out, I don't know. We were exhausted. We were tired. We were not thinking clearly. So just be prepared for that. The weather is a lot more mild in California, I would say, than it is in Florida. But Florida is just so beautiful. The other really cool thing about Disney World that Disneyland doesn't have is all of the lines inside and outside have fans going. So if you get to that right spot in line that the fan is just hitting you directly, it feels so nice. So that does help cool you down as well when you're waiting in the Florida heat. But both are great. I can't pick a favorite. People ask me all the time, really, which is better, Disneyland, Disney World? And they are really so different. It's just a different experience. Each has different rides. Disney World has more, but Disneyland is just so nostalgic, and it's the original, and it's hard to beat that. So both are fun, both are great. If you have an opportunity to visit both in your life, I would highly recommend it. You really do need to experience it. So really, in conclusion, it's not about which is better, Disneyland or Disney World. It's just about what kind of vacation you are looking for and which is the better fit for you. Now, at the end of this episode, if you're still unclear on which you should go to or what might be a better fit, or if you have questions, let me know. I can talk about Disney all day, and I'm happy to let you know my opinion, my experiences, and talk about your specific situation and make a recommendation that's right for you. Drop below in the comments if you've been to both, which is your favorite. We'll do a little poll, see what people think are better, Disneyland, Disney World. And if you're looking for a Disney vacation, let us know. We can help you plan that. We can get everything booked for you, handle all the details. Thanks for listening.